After filming today's episode, I sat with it for a little bit and I was like, we really need to put this into a two-parter because my guest, Ari Lowenstein, owner of Ari's Pantry, just dropped so much information in this episode that I don't want to overwhelm our listeners. Truly, he has such an extensive retail background and is doing so many incredible things in his store that I just feel like he pulled back the curtain. He shared so much. He was willing to give us so much in this episode that I don't want you to be overwhelmed. I don't want you to miss the second half if you only listen to the first. Like, it's so important for you to listen to this episode. There's so many gold nuggets all throughout this episode. So we're doing a two-parter. You'll get this part this week where we are talking about, you know, what Ari's doing from a customer experience. We're talking about social media marketing. Ari's got really good tips in today's episode that I'm going to steal from him. I'm like, that's really smart. I'm going to start teaching that. And he goes really deep on experience and some really creative things he's doing. And then next week, we'll pick up the rest of this conversation. And in next week's episode is where he really gives like the special sauce to winning at retail at the very end of the episode. But there's so much in between all of that. So listen fully to both episodes and then let me know your feedback because I think you're going to definitely learn something new or be inspired or re-energized. Lots of good stuff in this episode. All right, now we're going to jump into the actual intro that I filmed for this episode. So here we go. In today's episode, I have a dear friend of mine, Ari Lowenstein with Ari's Pantry. We've known each other for a long time, and Ari is super rooted in retail. You are going to hear from this episode how much knowledge he has when it comes to retail. And Ari has taken all of his experience and knowledge and opened his own store in December of 2023. And since then, he is now positioned to open his fourth store this year, 4 stores in less than 2 years. And we are breaking down all of it in today's episode. And I was just so lost in everything that Ari was saying. He's such a great storyteller. He really talks about the fundamentals. They're doing so many things well, and it's interesting and it's inspiring that I looked at the clock as we were filming and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we've been filming. I think at that point it was about 50 minutes. So you're going to want to make time for this episode. It is packed with super helpful information on running a retail store, ideas on how to create memorable experiences. Ari shares what they're doing that is just so next level when people pay. That moment of, okay, now it's time to hand over the money, honey. They're doing something so elevated that's so special. And it's just so smart. They also have custom designed their loyalty program. It's brilliant. And like Ari talks about in this episode, you can customize your loyalty program so people can collect things that make more sense to your store. So it's super on brand and it's fun for them. They've got kids coming in asking about their loyalty status because they've made it so fun. I don't want to give anything away. You're going to have to listen to this episode to learn more and how Ari answers my final question in the resilience round of what's the future of independent retail look like. I feel like he just broke down how you be successful in retail, period. He is such a smart man, and I'm just honored to have his experience on this show. I know you're going to love Ari. Here's a little bit more about him before we dive in. Ari Lowenstein, founder of Ari's Pantry, blends culinary passion with a storied background in creative product development. From presidential cufflinks to George Washington's death mask, his work spans continents, museums, and marketplaces, always with a twist of wit and innovation. You can check them out at arispantry.com. Be sure to follow them on Instagram to get content ideas, which we break down in this episode because they're crushing it with their social media. It's driving traffic in and sales. So, oh my goodness, prepare yourself for another epic episode of the show. Let's dive in. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Crystal Vilkaitis, the Wolf of Main Street, and this is Rooted in Retail. Ari, welcome to Rooted in Retail. I am thrilled you're here.
Hi, Crystal. It's great to see you again.
Yes, so we are longtime friends. We met like in 2013, 2014, and You full circle here. When I met you, you were not a retailer, and now you are, and you're doing really cool stuff. So we get to talk about it on the show today. Before we dive in, will you take a couple of minutes and share about your retail journey?
Sure. It actually begins in Italy. I was leaving London on my way back to Israel 1995, 96, 95, 96. And my family hadn't seen me for a while. My sister was living in Rome, and she said, Ari, why don't you come by to visit me? And it was really the family was like, Lisa, can you get Ari to, just because no one's seen him? And, so I got to Italy. I was doing a consulting company with my sister. We consulted a company that made products for the Vatican Museum stores. And that's how I first got into product. We did some great work for them and started our own business. We did museum merchandising for museums around the world, working with Italian artisans. We eventually had 9 of our own stores, 7 of them in airports across Italy, Switzerland, Spain, Austria. And it was going quite successful. I was going to be a European mogul, Crystal, until 9/11. And that was, if you were in the airport retail business or heavily dependent on it, as we were, it was a bad place to be. And at the same time, if anyone remembers, the euro and the dollar flip-flopped. So exports out of Italy became very expensive. So now we fast forward to 2008. So I stayed with the business until then. Then I came back to the States, and I went to work for Clear Solutions, a great display company up in Vermont that a lot of retailers will know. And I was their business development manager. It was funny. I didn't know that I was actually employable because I'd always been an entrepreneur, and Roger offered me a job, and I was like, a job? What is that?
What do you mean?
What? So I did business development with them for a year. Then I went to work for the Unemployed Philosophers Guild. I was there for 5 years. It was a great experience. And that really got me into wholesale, into gift. And I saw that my training in Italy of having to figure things out, Italy's not an easy place to do business. And that training had kind of helped me find answers. That together with some other pieces, I guess, anyway, made me a pretty good sales manager. So I was there for 5 years, got heavily involved in a lot of associations, gift sales manager associations at GHTA. And after I left there, I became a consultant. I worked for Brandwise and Market Time, that people will know, and chairman or president of a number of associations in the industry and on the board of the Museum Store Association. So I was involved with between retail and wholesale constantly, or continuously, I should say. Then one day I'd gotten to be executive vice president of corporate development for Market Time and involved in some other activities as well. And my amazing wife, Amy, said, what would you like to do? And cooking has always been a real passion. If anyone knew me, I used cooking metaphors even when they weren't applicable. and, so after 10 years in Rome, which was the part that was really fundamental to everything, I had all this knowledge about Italian cooking, and that kind of just had to come out. So I was catering, and then I walked past a storefront near our home, and I said, I'm going to open a store. I said, if no one else will shop there, at least I will. So I'll have a place to buy food for my catering. And that was how the first Ari's Pantry opened. That opened in December of 2023. Then we opened the second store in November of 24. We just opened our third store 2 months ago in May of 25. And we have our fourth store slated to open up in early fall of this year.
Wow. Yeah, you are super rooted in retail. You have been in like all aspects of it, which is really incredible. And I want to talk about this. Yeah, you really have. I want to talk about this scaling from 1 to 4 stores in 2 years. I mean, that's really quick.
It'll be under 2 years. And next year, the plan is to open another 3 to 4.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So with this kind of growth, what key decisions or philosophies have helped you scale with confidence?
It's funny. Everyone's brain works differently. And I may, agonize over whether or not to put a drop of white vinegar at the end of my bucatino alla matriciana because Tonino, the butcher, told me to, and Nico, the baker, told me not to. And they were husband and wife. And that's a big decision. But some of the bigger decisions, I think just because of how I am always thinking about all aspects of the business, I kind of lean into them fairly quickly, maybe too quickly. So the guiding principle, because of the core of what our stores are. So an Ari's Pantry is an Italian market. You've got 100 different kinds of dried pasta. You've got fresh pasta. You have all different kinds of Italian tomatoes. You have fresh tomatoes. You have our tomato sauce. You have spices and jams and all different kinds of cookies and crackers and taralli. You also have fresh made food that we make in our commissary kitchen. And then you also have housewares and then a lot of fun giftware. And it's an experience when you come into the store. People love the store. One of the principles of retail that I've always believed in is the longer someone's in your store, the more money they're going to spend. So you want to make it entertaining and you want to bring value. Now, what's interesting about what I'm doing is because, in the gift industry, normally you don't eat the products. Like when I was selling finger puppets, people couldn't eat the finger. They were told not to eat the finger puppets, in fact. Right. But in my case, if you make something that somebody wants, that they like, that they eat, they come back and they buy it again. The competition is everywhere, right? It's the taco stand to beautiful Whole Foods, right? So everyone is competing. But if you get it right, the customer will come back, not just multiple times, not just a month, but might be multiple times a week, or they like your breakfast and your lunch and your dinner. So that part's different. The other piece in terms of the number of stores we're opening up in DFW is, unless I make a real big mistake, I'm not going to oversaturate. You've got a population of the DFW Metroplex of like 8.3 million people, which is the same as New York City. Now, granted, the population density is 30 times less than it is in New York City. However, in the Metroplex, there's a long-time Italian market that's been here for 60 or 70 years. There's one Eataly that opened up. They're both in East Dallas, or the eastern part of let's say of central Dallas, but all of DFW is underserved. So the guiding strategy is, my basis is a cuisine that has proven to be attractive. We're definitely doing authentic Italian. I love chicken parm and garlic bread as much as anybody, but it's not really Italian at all. So we're kind of sticking more to the traditional, to I'll say contemporary Italian, because these were things that were certainly eaten in certain parts of Italy. But anyway, I digress. So the guiding principle is, I'd like there to be an Ari's Pantry near you. If you live in Metro DFW, the idea is to have one that we can be a go-to for great ingredients. Another guiding principle, and this is one that we'll revisit, is I have a number of different business models in the store. And that's also something that let's say, flies in the face of guardrails that people often put up. Literally, they'll say things like, stay in your lane. And I'm kind of going in the opposite direction. I'm choosing all the lanes.
You got a bunch of lanes going on. Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah, which I can talk about. But what it does is it enables me to amortize the cost of acquisition for the customer across different aspects of their life. Are they hungry? Do they want to give a gift? Do they want to learn something? Do they want someone to come and do something at their home for them? All of these different pieces are, one might think, separate retail experiences. And it's not that I think they're only going to go to Ari's Pantry for all of their, for all of their food, but they can if they want to. But it's that I want them thinking of us for catering, for date night, for entertainment. I'm just curious. I want to go in and see it. And then we're hitting them with the other, and we're hitting them with the other. And we have these examples. Someone met us at a cooking class and they became a regular customer, and then we catered a wedding for their daughter. Right. And then they have a business and they do 12, gift boxes with us. And so all of that is also one of our guiding principles, is that I'm trying to think of, how can I apply this to as many different aspects of somebody's life as I can, or then that they might not even have thought of.
Right. I mean, this is something I just feel like the word protection keeps coming up for me. If something like our retailers right now in today's world, depending like gift, toy, are in this big uncertainty world with tariffs right now. What does that mean? And what does that look like for their business? And when you have, so we talk about on this show, experiences or other revenue streams, other channels to protect you when there are things that, when the industry changes or when there's a moment of downtime, but we're going to bounce back, or whatever any of that looks like. So when you can create ways to sort of protect or diversify the business to give you this well-rounded approach at the model and really helping your customers. And so what I'm hearing too is just, you've gotten clear on who you want to be and how you want to help and what that looks like. And now it's about replication, and you're in an area that makes it a little bit easier to kind of scale faster than maybe some in rural areas.
Yeah, Dallas is an amazing market in that it has space. If I tried to do this in the Northeast, Chicago, where first of all, there's a saturation of specifically Italian food, right? Often more
Right.
Italian American Italian food, but also there aren't as many things happening. There's a lot of new construction. The first store we put in was a building that was probably 80 years old. The second one was from the 1960s. The third one was built in the only skyscraper built during World War II. And the fourth one, it just got built, and we have to put everything in. It's in a new development. So, and that's not uncommon. There are opportunities all over, which is also great because for our aspirations for the brand, we have 4 this year. We hope to open another 3 to 4 next year. Hope to get to 8 to 10 and then figure out, what's next. But what's great is that we have an opportunity to test different models, which is another kind of important part of what we do. In my consulting, I would always say to my clients who are mainly manufacturers, if everything you're trying is working, it means you're not trying enough things. You have to push the limits. In fact, when I would meet with them in one of the first meetings, I'd say, "Can you tell me about one of your big failures?" They'd want to tell me all about their successes. I'd say, "Look, successes are great, but you could have gotten lucky. A lot of things could have happened. But I want to know about, the project or the product or the initiative that you tried, that you studied, you researched, you got consensus for, and then was a big dumpster fire. Like, I want to know the thing that just failed." Yes. Because we're going to learn so much together about how you prepared for it and about why it failed that, sometimes there's more to learn. You want to have successes, you need them also, but the failures are important as long as you take time to, take the time of the moment. Sometimes it's not exhaustive, just to learn why. But I'm not afraid to fail. I've been asked why I'm moving so quickly. I'm 54. I don't want to wait. I want to do this now. This is my 3rd chapter. 1 chapter, 10 years in Italy and 2 years in Ireland, and time in England and time in Israel. Now is when I want to do this. This is my 3rd chapter. Maybe not my last one, but I want to do this now. So I'm moving quickly.
Yeah, you're motivated and you have a vision, and it's really beautiful. And I am just so excited for you. And I just want to repeat what you said. If you haven't failed, you haven't tried enough things. Like we get so afraid of failing and we won't try. And that's what creates the innovation and the newness and the uniqueness. And so I just encourage our listeners to try more.
The addendum there, that part is about, you've heard fail fast.
Yep.
Maybe some people have heard the expression fail fast. The customers come into your store every day. If it's something that's not going to work, you want to find out quickly because you want it to fail on the fewest number of customers as you can. We all know what it's like to give a bad experience to a customer. They're not going to come back, right? And that's, it's a big lesson. I've got an amazing management team. They're young. Most of them haven't done the jobs that they're doing now. They all started by working in my stores. We've brought in 2 heavy hitters recently who are coming on board now. But my management team, they're young, they're smart, and they make big mistakes. And all we ask is that you don't make them twice, right? Make new ones.
Right.
But we're trying to have that experience be, if a customer had a bad experience with something, okay, great, fine, it happened. Let's make sure it doesn't happen again. But letting it linger is where it doesn't help you. So these terms, consultants will throw around a lot, business jargon that someone who's in the store says, well, fail fast. What does that mean, fail fast? It's my money. I don't want to fail fast. Well, it costs you more money if you fail and slower and you don't, really try. So I also will be pretty aggressive about when I try something new, put it out in front. I know my best sellers are there. The customers, can find it. But if I get a new line of cookies in, it's right out front. I want to know. I want to put samples out. I want to get and as soon as I know it's a mistake, I've tried something that I thought was good. We brought it in and the customers didn't like it. And it went to charity. That was it, boxed up and gone, or in the dumpster, just because it, once so.
On to the next. Exactly. It's so good. We don't want to linger in it. I think that was a really important message to move on to the next. We just want to keep moving. I want to switch gears a little bit here and talk about your social media, because I obviously come from the social media space and that's how we met. And you're doing such a great job. Like I told you this before we started filming, I was prepping for this interview and I was going to your social and I'm like watching this reel. And I just got sucked into the content and I'm like, okay, They're doing great. We need to talk about it on the show. So the thing is, it's educational, it's personal. You're showing up. Yeah.
Does everyone on this who's watching this know? I mean, you might know about Crystal, but I have to say, we met, I think, 12 years ago at a conference, and Crystal was trying to tell sales managers, important brands that all of you know today, how important social media was for retailers. And some of them were asking if it was like a club for journalists. Like, they didn't even know what it was. And Crystal was like, you need to pay attention. So for the record, Crystal was right.
Yes.
Okay.
I was right.
Crystal was right 100%. And on my part, I always thought so. Just going to say.
Okay, good. I like that. Thank you, Ari, for believing me.
I interrupted. You were saying about our social media.
I love it. Yes. Well, so you're crushing it. And I love the content. It's personal, it's creative, you're consistent, it's educational. And that's really hard for a lot of retailers to keep up with. How do you structure your marketing effort? Like, I want to know who helps, how do you stay consistent, and what advice would you give to retailers who feel stuck and overwhelmed by posting?
So I've made mine is kind of a combination of the personal, they're getting to know me, which gives some context to it. I tell some stories that have absolutely nothing to do with my store. They have nothing to do with Italy. They have nothing to do with cooking. It's just a story about me, because now I want them to get to know me. People think I'm a good person to know, so I want them to get to know me. I have a very lucky to have a woman named Maxine come and work with me in the store, and she is head of our social media marketing now and basically built it. And she's my muse. So when I think that it's very useful that when I'm talking to the camera, Exene is behind the camera. And if I feel like I'm entertaining Exene, I know it's going to work for the audience. And she's not afraid to tell me when I'm not or when I got it wrong. So it's good. So having someone there, I think that it's a dialogue. For me, that's useful, because trying to imagine your customer sometimes, or at least, having someone there when you get started. We vary the content, and that's very intentional in terms of it's not sell, sell, sell. It's not story, story, story. It's not how to. It's we pepper it. One of the concepts, the treasure hunt concept, was important for me in retail, which is that the customer doesn't know what they're going to find when they go in your store, right? Part of it. One of the 7 things is the treasure hunt. We want that in our social media as well. We don't want it to be, it's going to be another cooking video. Okay. Or it's going to be another story. Who is this guy? Who cares? It's going to be another ad or talking about a new product. And if you're doing a post that's not interesting to you, it's not going to be interesting to anybody else. It really needs to be, if you're selling something, you really need to feel it. And if you don't think it's interesting for you, then maybe try to grasp that you think it'll be interesting for the audience and how you would, speak with them about it. I think the variety matters. I think we changed the settings up a little bit, so it's not always the same background. Initially, we kind of had some repeats with backgrounds. We're in our small store. A few other, Exene, what did I leave out in terms of, she's here, by the way. Like I said. Love. Yeah.
Probably keeping it interesting and getting people's attention.
Yeah, something that grabs them at the beginning. If you're Walter Cronkite, you can start talking. Well, I don't know if the audience knows who Walter Cronkite is. If you're, I can't say anybody really handsome because they'll think I'm talking about me. If you are, anyway, if someone knows your voice and they know who you are, you can start talking and it's enough,
Right.
But otherwise, you need to do something to kind of get their attention. For me, I have a good sense of humor about myself. If you ever see and looked at the blooper reels, they've gotten tons of hits just because they're funny and they're authentic. That's the other part, be authentic, find your authentic voice, which I know sounds so cliched, but it is. I would say if I was consulting someone on this, I would say, do a video, show it to your friends and ask them if it sounds like it's you. And then you're at your authentic voice.
Yep. Good advice, actually, which I might have to use and I'll quote you on it, because I think for retailers getting started, because they'll sometimes post things, but the consistency is just not there. And so for them to just really show up as themselves, which that's the scariest part. If they did send it to a friend first, that might feel a little more comforting, and to just get some of that feedback. And then there's just a point where you just got to publish. You just got to get out there. And I promise it gets easier the more you do it. But I look at your following. You guys are at almost 7,000 followers on Instagram. You started less than 2 years ago. I would imagine, are you seeing people come into the store from your posts and mention social?
Crystal, it has happened. Hey, that's him. Oh, that's Ari.
Oh, I love it.
You're Ari. I'm Ari. It's happened. Yes, 100%. People said I followed you. It's interestingly we haven't hit the some of the metrics in terms of the hundreds of likes. We get thousands of views, but not hundreds of likes. I don't know for us where that should be. It's been an incredibly powerful tool. One of the most important things about it is actually it's helped us to craft our voice.
Mm,
Doing something a lot of times helps you figure out often where you are, even if no one else was looking at, well, not no one, but just saying that the repetition of talking about the business and talking about the product has actually formed how we use our Instagram as a training guide for
mm,
our new hires. We
cool.
say, we need you to watch all the videos. If you know everything that Ari said in the videos, that there it is. That already gets you going enough to be able to talk about it in a store.
Yeah, that's so smart too. I mean, then they're really looped in. They understand the tone. And you're right, you do kind of figure out like what is our messaging and what do we stand for. One thing for you and our listeners, I wouldn't worry about the likes. We're in such a new algorithm now, a new world of social media that it's so interest based where the content's being delivered to the right people, but the consumers are less likely and the viewer is less likely to actually engage. They're doing so more like a creep, like scrolling and watching, but not engaging, or they'll take it private and DM you, or they'll come in. So views, DMs, or mentioning in store are more meaningful metrics than the likes. All right, let's talk about experience now.
Yeah.
Retail today, it's all about experience. You're doing a lot of cool things in your store. It's very immersive. Can you share how you think about crafting a memorable customer experience?
To be honest, the most important answer to this is to say, I'm still figuring it out. We are still figuring it out. We'll say, let's do these 5 things and the store will be full. We'll do the same 5 things. No one will show up. So we're always learning, which is, important. It's tough because the same team that's doing this part of it is also helping me build the stores and also putting in product data. Everyone is wearing lots and lots of hats. We're making a big investment in the team and so on. But the formula needs to be that one, you grab their attention in something that you think they'll like. It often starts from something that we've already seen somebody like or a few people like in some format, like our lasagna. Started with lasagna bites. By the way, the trick to making a good lasagna bite is an egg roll wrapper.
Oh, okay.
Egg roll
I
wrapper in a muffin tray with whatever you're going to put in your lasagna. Put it in there and bake it. There you go. That's
okay,
the
so
answer.
I love lasagna so much that I've ordered lasagna for dessert. Like I love lasagna, so
Yeah,
we're gonna have to try that. Thank you for that pro tip.
you're welcome. So I figured that out in the catering before the stores opened. I wanted to have, my lasagna is made with an authentic bolognese, published by the city of Bologna, bechamel and parmigiano. There's no ricotta, there's no mozzarella. That's an American invention. Now you can make anything out of lasagna, but a lasagna bolognese is something very specific. So I make a fantastic lasagna. I think as good as anybody's. And I wanted a way to have it in a bite. And so I started experimenting with what were the other ones that were like, and the wrappers for the empanada wrappers. I
Oh
tried
yeah.
with, ravioli. I tried, you can't use pasta because it gets too hard. I tried all different things. And then it was the egg roll wrapper that was the perfect answer. So lasagna is super successful as lasagna bites are in the catering. So we open the store. I get my kitchen. So in the catering, I'm starting to do full size lasagnas. And then we start selling the lasagnas. We wanted to promote the lasagnas. We believe that people will love them once they like them. So now we have a lasagna day. It's today. It's on the day we're filming this. Is on a Thursday. And you buy lasagnas and you get a free salad. And if you do something else, you get a tiramisu. So the event came out of something that we know we had a bit of that they liked. Some events that we've tried that kind of didn't go anywhere. So everyone's eating tinned fish right now. Tinned fish is
Oh
everywhere.
yeah.
Sardines and anchovies. And we've got like 50 different kinds of tinned fish. We have, I think, a bigger selection than anyone in the city. If you go to a big supermarket, they might have 50 kinds of tuna, but I mean of diversity, different countries, different tins. It's like a wonderland for someone who wants tinned fish. So we said, alliteration, let's do Tin Fish Tuesday. $1 off all tin fish if you come in and get it. Nobody came in for it. We did. We ran it for, I said, let's try it for the month or whatever. Okay, let's try it for, didn't work. Now, it didn't cost us anything except for, filling up airspace. So what are the fundamentals? Try to find something that people like, which we did in both cases. And then, see what works. Lasagna Thursdays, There are families now that are getting lasagna most Thursdays from us. We expanded out the kinds of lasagna we make, but with beautiful vegetable lasagna, and then some others that are kind of vary with the different weeks. Then we celebrate any National Lasagna Day or National Lasagna Week that comes up. We'll show up for any of those as well. So the fundamentals are find something people like. Then the communication needs to go out pretty consistently. We do look at our metrics to see when people open the communication that we send out, and if they open it. And so we've done some testing with that. I don't know if we have a set victory day on that. Do we have a great best day yet for people opening things? Is it midweek? Would you say more or?
Well, it's more time of day.
More time of day.
Yeah.
Which is? What's
7 p.m.
7 p.m. So,
Okay.
So 7 p.m. local time is when we have the most success that people actually open things. So there it is.
That's good.
It's either when they were, after they've gotten home from work, or they're still in their dinner and then they're looking at their phones and they're doing it, and that's when they're responding to us. So that's, for us, that's what works. But finding that time of day, I think, is very important. The activation, we try all different things. We try percentage off. We try gift with purchase. We try set amount off. We try, we have a great rewards program, which is quite popular. You don't earn points, you earn virtual tomatoes. Every 100 tomatoes, you get $5 off. And you get status. At 100 tomatoes, you become a cherry tomato. Then you're a vine tomato. Then you're an heirloom tomato. And then the top is a San Marzano tomato, which is a special tomato from Southern Italy. It came to me when I was first setting it up. I said I didn't want to do points. I wanted a rewards program that was something more unique to us. So we gamified it, which I think anybody can do. Make it something that's yours, because points and miles, I mean, that's, whatever. And systems like Square will let you actually customize that, so you can call it something else. And, there is the confusion that people say, do I get 100 tomatoes? We're like, no, you don't get 100 tomatoes. But you get $5 off. And then as they go up, they get other perks, like with an airline.
Cool.
So, and the kids want to know,
creative.
How many tomatoes do we have? How many tomatoes do we have? Yeah. We
love it.
Really try to make things fun in the store. We also have, and just note, bracket, I don't know where you'll use this piece, but we have, basically, it's going to sound so egotistical. So this is just the background piece. Basically, my executive chef is a 19th generation butcher, going back to Europe. But one day somebody came in, somebody said something, and he said, I am Ari. And at first I was like, is that a Spartacus reference? I am Spartacus, Tony Curtis with his Brooklyn accent. But it was, for him, this is his store too, right? And it was what is it that people love about the store when you have the one store? Because it was who I am as a person. If you're coming to the store, I expect the people in our store to be kind, to be generous, to be curious, to be patient. And so that actually turned into a thing of what I am Ari means. And it's not meant to be cultish about being me. It's about be you, but be in this way. So we hire people who have culinary backgrounds. That's another kind of one of our guiding principles, that if you work in the store, you might not know Italian food, but you know food. So we hire people, we pay a living wage for that, to that end, and then be nice and be kind and want to talk to people. And that's what retail has to be about. So I just varied from whatever your last question was. I apologize.
Well, no, but I actually think that's a perfect answer for this question, because what you're doing is you're setting the groundwork, like the fundamentals of who we are. And without that, then the experience can be very chaotic or can be inconsistent. And so first, we have our team all on the same page, and we live and die that. And everybody knows when they go into the store. And this is also helpful when you're expanding the second and third and fourth location and beyond, to create that consistency. And then you have these activations and you're testing and doing all those kinds of things. And I also really love your honest answer of sometimes we'll do 5 things, it works, and then it doesn't. Like, that's very relatable to our retailers and to business in general. And so that's great. And then I had a question about the tin fish. So dollar off, how much are they normally, like average price point?
6 to 13.
Okay. So, I'm sure you're doing this. This is for our listeners as well. Testing dollar off versus percentage off. So maybe do the tin fish Tuesday again, but now we're doing 20% off. And maybe it still is equaling $1.20, but they feel like it's 20% off. And so now is the time that I get that. Yeah.
I haven't tried that, but we're going to now. Thank you.
Amazing. Test it and then let me know how it goes. Hopefully better. But that's the thing. And sometimes when you do percentage off, it actually would be better if you did the dollar, especially if it's like $20 off, $25 off, if that's what it's going to equal. Maybe more of the kitchen appliances or bigger tickets would be good versus percentage. But just, side note. Thank you so much for listening to the Rooted in Retail podcast. It means the world to me to have you here. If you find value in this show and you listen on an iPhone, if you could leave a review on the Apple Podcast app, that would be amazing. And if you watch YouTube, if you're a YouTube subscriber, we film this. And so if you rather watch the show, you can also do that over on YouTube. Again, thank you for listening, and I'll see you on the next episode.